How you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing great.
I want to try and touch base today on each of your individual bands and projects. Let's start off by talking about your latest release. This past January, Broken Teeth released your fourth full-length album, Viva La Rock Fantastica, through Paris Records. How's the reception been so far for the new material?
Very good. We are actually playing a couple of the songs, the title track and another one called Exploder, on a previous tour, just because we were, you have new songs, you want to get them in the set as soon as possible, just to kind of see how they're going to feel live. That also helps you know what to do when you're in the studio to create the energy. Because sometimes you'll record a song and the tempo feels faster live, but when you first write it, it seems kind of dull, and you don't really know. It takes a while to nail the tempo, the correct tempo, so it's better to play. We have found that it's better to play a song live before you record it, to try to get the tempo right and the energy of the song right. Because live, if you can create, here you go. You ever go to see a band and they're great live, but their CD just seems lame or dull? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we try to create, the live energy on the record. And sometimes like if you play locally, all your new material that's in the set long before the new record comes out, by the time the new record comes out and the locals buy it, I already know these songs, 'cause I see them live all the time. We're doing that so we can get the energy right. Anyway, to answer the question completely, the response has been amazing. We've had such a good feel for the new material, and there were a lot of questions we were asking ourselves during the making of the record, because I was doing the bulk of the writing this time, because this is the first record that we've done without Paul Lydell, who started the band with me. Paul still plays guitar with me in Dangerous Toys, and so he's been my songwriting partner for years and years and years, and now we're not writing together, so it's kind of strange. And so I was like, some of the songs on the new record, the new Broken Teeth record, I would be like, what would I have a guitar in my hand, be like, what would Paul do right here? Just to try to make sure the formula was going to be the same. But it's not hard to just kind of take a breath and go, okay, just be Broken Teeth, because the original idea of what the band was supposed to sound like is real bare bones, one heavy bass note all the way through for 3 minutes, and just being that nasty piece of work on the mic, what I mean, and trying to just make sure it's a real basic, bare bones 2-chord rock and roll. And as long as you keep that and don't get too carried away or too mellow or too sassy with it, I think that it ends up sounding like Broken Teeth no matter what you do. But so far so good.
So Danko Jones, the Canadian hard rocker, guests on 2 songs from the new album. How did that come about?
Danko Jones, he was coming through Austin opening for Turbo Negro at Emo's, and I went and saw him play, and just introduced myself after the show, and we just stayed in touch after that. When it came time to record this new record, so it's been years now that we've had this sort of at least email relationship, and I just asked him, hey, we're recording, you want to guest a vocal on a couple songs on the new Broken Teeth record? And he was like, yeah, send me the track. So we emailed him some files, and he cut the vocals and sent them back, and stuff came out amazing. And we just shot a video. I got him some gigs during South by Southwest this year, and he got on stage with us and did did the title track Viva La Rock Fantastico, and we made a video for it, and it's on YouTube right now. You can just search Broken Teeth Viva La Rock Fantastico, and it's me and Danko running around the streets of Austin with a video camera. It's pretty cool.
And you also shot a video for Blackheart. Has those two videos kind of opened up a bigger fan base for you guys, got you more attention?
I think so too. It showed a spike in our iTunes sales. You know, the digital file sharing platforms have all done fairly well comparatively to our other releases. It's done really well, but nobody's getting rich in rock and roll. Not real rock and roll anyway. So, but yeah, it did show a spike in popularity. I think the first week the Blackheart video was out, we had almost 2,000 hits, and that's good for us.
So comedian Jim Florentine of VH1 Classics That Metal Show has been a big supporter of Broken Teeth and the new album. Are there any current plans in the works for you guys to guest on that metal show?
I've been asked to come and do a spot where they give you a minute and a half, but you're sitting in the audience, and they give you a mic. They hand you a mic, and they basically throw questions at you from the stage, and you're able to plug anything and everything that you want. I've been asked to do that a couple times, but just schedule wise it hadn't worked out. Plus I don't have any budget to just fly to New York for a day of taping and then fly right back. So that would have been an expensive promotional tool, but it would have been cool because I think they can reuse those clips that they do that with sometime. But maybe someday, since those guys have been nothing but cool. Eddie Trunk has been playing the different tracks off of the new record on his radio shows, and we've gotten responses, good response from that as well, of course. So those guys have been nothing but cool. Jim and Don Jameson have been, they've seen Broken Teeth play probably 5 or 6 times. Anytime we get near the East Coast, those guys have come out, and big supporters of Broken Teeth. And anything rock or metal, those guys, they love it all. That's a great show. That's one of the best things I think that's happened to classic metal and classic rock and roll is guys my age that have the clout who are also in the entertainment business, and or Eddie Trunk's been a radio DJ since he was in college or something. So they've cut out niches for themselves as entertainers, and they just happen to be metalheads. It's good for you. It's good for everybody. Because now there's a home for us on on international television.
So what are your current touring plans for the new record?
It's real expensive to go west because the drives in between major cities are so long. There's a lot of desert. Getting to the East Coast, it would be a little bit easier, but they just don't pay shit, And so the Midwest seems to be where we can get back without losing our ass on tour. So we try to do that a couple of times. We've got a little rut that we kind of stay in. There's a group of clubs. Every time we go out, though, we add a few more rooms and things like that. We try to mix it up as much as we can. But Texas is so big, you could almost just tour in Texas for a week. You could probably play between 6 and 8 cities in Texas and not play the same city twice, and do okay. But that's basically it right now. We're going on Shiprock again, which is a rock and roll cruise that's about 4 or 5 days, and they have major headliners as well as B-level bands from the U.S. And we did it last year with Rat, Queensryche, Tesla, Skid Row, and this year it's Tesla again, but they've added Cinderella. And I think that there's a band called Hail that features Ripper Owens and Mike Portnoy, and I think Dave Ellefson, and can't remember his name at the moment, the guitar player from Sepultura.
Andreas Kisser.
Mm-hmm. I believe he's the guitarist in that project. So I think they have a B team, an A team, and a B team in Hail, but I believe it's always Ripper on vocals. So that'll be a lot of fun. If Hale's definitely involved. But yeah, we're doing that again. That's in November, and people from all over the world buy tickets to go on this Shiprock thing. So it's almost like a tour bus with stages, and everyone's kind of equal, eating in the same dining room. It's like being on a touring vacation heavy metal festival on the water going to Jamaica, and it's sort of an all-inclusive, all-in-one rock and roll heavy metal fantasy kind of a thing. And I think it could definitely save rock and roll. I think it's a great idea, and you save money on gas doing that, I think.
Definitely.
So
Tell me about when Broken Teeth formed in '99. Your debut album was written and recorded in the span of 2 weeks. Let's talk about the sense of urgency in completing your initial offering and putting the band together.
The beginnings of this have everything to do with Paris Records, and that's the new record is on Paris Records. The offer came when Bruce Rivers, the drummer, and Paul Lydell, original founding member, were looking for a studio to record their original project. And they called Tom at Paris Records, and he offered his studio in barter. He wanted to barter with them, and the idea was, okay, yeah, you can use my studio if you record. Write me 10 songs. Let's create a new project. And I want to. He was kind of through the idea, AC/DC style, old school, like biker rock, classic rock sounding kind of a formula kind of a thing. And I don't know what the exact suggestive tone was that he was setting, but it was something like that. And they were like, oh great, so we can use the studio for free if we write you 10 songs so you can put it out on a CD and blah 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 blah. Great idea, great, and sure, I got that, no problem. Paul Lydell has riffs in his back pocket 24/7, so he started writing. He called me, and we were just chatting, and he told me about the project, and I immediately said, well, I want to sing for that, and he was like, great, no problem, So we started writing the material. I had a bunch of unused lyrics. He had a bunch of riffs. We literally threw the songs together and had a blast doing it. And recorded in a studio that Tom had there at their label. It was just a warehouse, kind of a thing. And the rest is history. I think that the record literally wasn't done in 2 week span, but if you add up the days of work, writing and recording, they all add up to 13 days or 14 days or something like that. So because of scheduling and everything. And the second record, Guilty Pleasure, was done the exact same way. It was written the same way, put together the same way. We didn't even know, with the idea of Broken Teeth was not to be a recording, touring band. It wasn't going to be a real band. It was going to be a studio project. A lot of people don't know, but I played bass on the first Broken Teeth record. Paul played all the guitars, and so it was me and Paul and Bruce that basically recorded the first record. And then by the time that the record was out and it started to sell, it was like, oh crap, people want to see us live. They wanted us to play live. So we booked a gig, and we had to get a bass player and another guitar player, because the idea of the band was to be this classic style 5-piece, Deep Purple, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. We wanted it to feel and look a certain way to fit the classic rock thing. I mean, Saxon, Molly Hatchet, whatever your, whatever you put in your tea, that's kind of what we wanted it to have a feel of. And here we are 10 years later, and a few things have changed, but not a whole lot. It still sounds and looks like Broken Teeth no matter what.
So speaking of Saxon, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, this past September also saw the release of the Spider Queen from Igniter, an Austin, Texas heavy metal band that you're now the vocalist for. So the Spider Queen is something of a rock opera or a concept album where you act out several different characters throughout the album. How challenging was a project like that for you?
The writing and everything was done by Stuart Lawrence, the guitar player, founding member of Igniter. It was only challenging in the way that once again, like scheduling and stuff like that. But since everything was already written, suggestive melody lines, things like that, he had given me a few demos that had suggestive vocal melodies for the lyrics that he had written, and it was for a lot of the songs. And I think I sang demos for 3 songs tops, no more than 3 songs. And then I was like, I'm not doing any more demos. We're gonna start making the record. If the idea was for me. They had been trying out singers. They had Erica Tandy singing for them. She sings on the first 2 Igniter records, and she's a good friend of mine. And they went without, like, almost a year and a half without a singer. And Stuart is also in my Judas Priest tribute band, Sad Wings. So when Sad Wings would be rehearsing, Stuart would be telling us all about, hey, how's the auditions going? And he'd roll his eyes, and every time he'd roll his eyes and go, man, we had this girl today, or man, we had this guy today, and oh my goodness, it was just, it wasn't good, or this guy was okay, or no, we're not there yet, so it's a bit humorous to hear about all of that stuff. And he goes, this is just going to be harder for me than I thought. So I pulled him aside and I said, look, you guys are too good of a heavy metal band to not be staying busy. I'll at least do the record so you can get your momentum going, and there'll be some star power. You can do something with it, And then I heard the material and I was like, I've got to do this. Yeah. I've got to be in the band, I didn't know that it would take, that it would grab like it did, but it did. I heard the material, I made the record, I got real excited. And it was cool to be involved in something as dramatic. I mean, the Spider Queen to me is like Edgar. All that, Bruce Dickinson does the Edgar Allan Poe things in his lyrics, and he's big on that style. It's very Shakespearean, but it's also very King Diamond or Alice Cooper, or it's very dramatic and theatrical. And it's sort of Lord of the Rings and Conan the Barbarian and all that stuff, sort of all rolled into this Shakespearean love story where there's war and death and blood, and it's very sinister. And you're right, there's like 6 or 7 characters in the whole monologue, and they're talking to each other throughout the entire record. And if you listen all the way through and kind of follow the lyrics, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it reminds me of the King Diamond stuff, the Abigail, and dare I say Nostradamus, because I'm not a fan of the Judas Priest Nostradamus record. It's just not Judas Priest to me. But I know how people feel if they don't like the Spider Queen, because I don't like Nostradamus. So I feel for you if you were an old Igniter fan and not a new one. I completely understand, because Erica definitely had a lot to give to the Igniter sound, and now the band is completely different with me, the songwriting and everything.
So was that kind of difficult for you to approach the older material in respect to that, playing it live, adapting to someone else's range? Did it just become your own? How did you tackle that?
Yeah, I didn't try to do anything Erica, and to date, I've been in the band over a year now. We haven't done any of the, as I called it, Erica material, the older Igniter stuff. We've toyed with the idea of bringing in a couple of songs, but it hasn't happened yet, and we're already writing new material for another record. So, maybe in a live sense, I doubt we'll record any of the re-record any of the older material with my vocals, but I can say that I wouldn't put it past the band to redo at least one of the songs for a live set.
So you were also a founding member of the highly influential progressive tech thrash band Watchtower. Let's talk about the musical climate in the metal scene in the early 80s. You had the new wave of British heavy metal movement. Thrash was very much in its prototype or infancy stages. Who were the bands that inspired Watchtower?
Well, there's something to back up a little bit, just for the record. The founding members of Watchtower, and I'm not doing corrective surgery here. I'm saying that I was, the known singer for that seminal project, but the founding members, I need to give credit to Billy White, the original guitar player from Watchtower. Billy, Rick and Doug, who are still in Watchtower, those guys definitely need the credit for creating a completely insane style of stop-start riffing and technical, wacky, time changes and like almost jazz or just seemingly free form, or as I like to say, a drum kit, a bass, and a guitar falling down the stairs in time. And it's very strange style of music, and no one knew where to put it back then when we actually had recordings available. We were called jazz metal, we were called space metal, we were called Frank Zappa meets Metallica, or something like that. It's been awesome to be part of the story of such a legacy. Before there was even a moniker or a genre or even a subgenre at this point. Yeah, it was so early. Watchtower really got going in May of 1982. So Kill 'Em All wasn't even out. Killing Is My Business wasn't even out. So we were coming up with this crazy style of stuff, and I want to say that Dave Mustaine was doing sort of the same. I mean, the first few Megadeth records are pretty progressive, and I think Mustaine has done a lot for metal because he kind of created the whole thrash movement, I think, with the style of guitar that he was doing, and I think that Hetfield picked up on that and is still using part of that as his influence. And Mustaine is just a heavy metal god, and has influenced as many people as Eddie Van Halen in my for the metal movement. Not to get off course here, but it's been great to be part of that, and it's I'm still sort of, even though I'm not really involved anymore, I feel like an ambassador for Watchtower, a cheerleader of some sorts, and I used to answer all the fan mail, and it was crazy for a while there, up until the very end. I say the end because I've since I left the band in 1988 to join full time with Dangerous Toys, and I still stayed in touch with a lot of the fans and pen pals, as we used to call them, because there was no internet and no cell phone and no digital, no CD, no nothing. It was literally legal pad and a pen and writing and licking stamps and tape trading and all that stuff that is now legend and lore. I mean, that was how Metallica got a record deal. They would make copies of their tapes and give them away at their shows and send them out in envelopes, and they were licking stamps too, and it's just what you did. It's how this whole thing was created, and a lot of people don't know about that kind of stuff, and I don't know why a book hadn't even been written about the whole source of how the networking thing in the metal movement started, but that's it, and Watchtower was a part of that. But anyway, so when I joined the Toys and helped my replacement Alan Tecchio get into the band, I still continued to support Watchtower. And in 2000, I got back with Watchtower and did the Bang Your Head Festival in Germany. In 2004, we did the Headway Festival in Amsterdam. And there I started demoing songs for the new record Mathematics and I was let go from the project because they weren't happy with the vocal ideas I was coming up with. And once again, they got Alan Tecchio to take my place again, which is pretty funny. And since then, they've let, just newsflash, they've let Alan go, and are now looking for a brand new singer. Watchtower's looking for somebody new right